lastly tonight, we move on to the wild, weird, and relatively unknown world of women's bodybuilding. If you're like most Americans, what little exposure to bodybuilding you've had has probably been limited to brief glimpses of scantily clad competitors posing in a magazine. These days, such pictures routinely feature women with the kind of blown-up physiques you'd expect to see only on men. It's an unusual look, but one befitting the very unusual lifestyle required of those women immersed in bodybuilding. As you're about to see, there's a lot more to their world than just barbells and bikinis.
We're about to bring out the professional lady competitors.
It's one of the premier events in the world of women's bodybuilding, the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. For some, it's a showcase. For others, a freak show. But for those on stage, these are the worst of days.
You're most unhealthy that day of the show. You're dehydrated, you're in limited food, you've been overtrained, you're taking some type of diuretic, whether it be natural or not. That day of the show, I gotta tell you, you look like perfection. Inside, you're barely hanging on.
Colette Nelson knows what muscle competitions are all about. For the past 6 years, she's been a professional bodybuilder and enjoys looking the part.
I know I make people curious because they're seeing a woman, but yet they're seeing muscles. So even if they
Yeah,
say
I mean,
they
you
don't
look like
it,
kind of a cross between Britney Spears and Thor.
right? And I think people find it interesting.
Nelson and her rivals on tour have a unique and unenviable distinction in the entire world of sports. No other female athletes anywhere sacrifice so much for so little in return. According to Nelson, women like her are driven by a disease, which they say is the opposite of anorexia. It's bigorexia. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see?
I never see that I'm big enough. I always feel like I'm not good enough. It's sad to say, but it's true. I always feel like I gotta work harder.
Which is why Nelson can often be found here, training in the gym, for at least 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. The goal is to get bigger and bigger. It's also the reason she carefully prepares and eats 6 low-fat, high-protein, no-carb meals every single day.
We have to make a choice what we're gonna eat 6 times a day, and certainly the monotony of it, I don't care who you are, gets to you.
When you get to a certain point, it does become your everyday life.
Even for Brandy Mae Akers, who is just starting her quest to get bigger, bodybuilding has quickly become a full-time job.
Maybe I'm a masochist, maybe I'm a weirdo, but I do love the pain. It's crazy. I will push myself until I'm sick.
Come on.
No, I will. I'll push myself, especially working out legs or anything. I'll push myself until I'm nauseous and almost vomiting.
So why would any woman put herself through so much to get so big? Akers says for most, the disease comes from a deep and often dark place. In her case, a very dark place.
I had a very rough childhood. My mother abandoned me when I was maybe about 4 or 5. She was a prostitute and on and off drugs for the past 20 years, mainly on. And I was on my own at 16, with a child.
Do you think any part of that troubled childhood led you to the life you lead now?
Oh, I definitely think so. Because I had no control as a young kid of my environment around me. With this, I'm able to control how my physique looks. I'm able to control my training in the gym. I'm able to control my body.
And winning our women's lightweight, Brandy Akers.
In that obsessive pursuit of power, size, and strength, Akers says she knows it's not enough to simply work out for hours on end and maintain an absurdly strict diet. No, to really be competitive in her sport, she says using anabolic steroids are a must, even though they can cause real problems for women.
At the pro level, it's a given that everybody's on stuff, and once you get to that point, it's just a matter of who can get the best stuff, the cleanest stuff, and the most stuff to look the best for their show.
And so Akers cycles on and off a cocktail of drugs. To get bigger, HGH, Anavar, Equipoise, Winstrol.
These are the ampules, which are probably the most potent, and these are from Europe. I mean, it's one of those underlining hush-hush things about the sport. People know it goes on, we just don't talk about it.
Is there any testing by the International Federation of Bodybuilders?
Once a year, they draw from a hat, and they test one person.
Once a year, one person?
Yes. So there is
Come
one.
on, that constitutes the testing?
Yeah.
Officials at the International Federation of Bodybuilders, the sport's governing body at the pro level, declined to speak with Real Sports about drug use or their testing procedures. Is it realistic to think that a woman could compete at the highest levels of female bodybuilding without some assistance, pharmaceutically?
What do you think?
She wouldn't have a chance.
Not a chance in hell.
Lauren Powers has been a bodybuilder since 2001, winning 2 California state titles. In the process, she's entered into a Faustian pact that every female bodybuilder must, gaining glory, but losing some of their femininity. What do you say to those people who are looking at this and go, oh, what are you doing? You look like a dude.
That is so everywhere. It's such a classic thing. They see a woman with biceps and they assume it's a male. To me, it's just ignorance.
What are some of the negative effects on women
And that's what I
of
want.
ingesting so much testosterone?
Absolutely. Hair growth on the face, facial hair, that doesn't go back. Clitoral enlargement. I know some girls that, it's like that big.
Come on.
It's true.